I'm Elliot Horlick. I'm the founder of CellaSphere Therapeutics. We are commercializing a new glioblastoma treatment developed at Columbia University. Glioblastoma is a particularly deadly form of brain cancer with terrible side effects like seizures and loss of vision. It has an average survival time of only 12 to 16 months, and the survival rate has remained the same for the past 30 years. The problem is that chemotherapy drugs have had limited success in treating glioblastoma, and the blood-brain barrier limits delivery vectors with more targeted treatments from reaching the brain. Glioblastoma is also difficult to treat fully with surgery due to the ease with which the cancer spreads beyond the primary tumor site. Because of this, glioblastoma recurs in nearly all patients that survive their first tumor. At CellaSphere, our technology has the potential to effectively target and eliminate the glioblastoma cells that surgery does not remove, limit glioblastoma from recurring, and improve the quality of life for glioblastoma patients by preventing the need for multiple surgeries. Our technology was developed by Columbia University's Dr. Cam Leong, a key inventor behind Gliadel. Gliadel is an FDA-approved implantable wafer that avoids the blood-brain barrier. It is placed in the brain tissue after a glioblastoma tumor is surgically removed and releases a chemotherapy drug. Our technology improves upon the Gliadel delivery mechanism by using two methods to specifically target and deliver not one, but two different therapeutic treatments simultaneously to the glioblastoma cells that were not removed by surgery. The effectiveness of our technology has been shown in preclinical in vivo studies. Use of the technology directed at tumors in a rodent model reduced the average tumor size by 86%. The tumors at the top of this slide were extracted from mice that were treated without our technology. The tumors at the bottom of this slide were extracted from mice that were treated with our technology. We will license the patent application covering the CellaSphere technology from Columbia University. Once granted, the patent will expire in 2038. A patent term extension is also possible for time spent during clinical trials. We have divided our estimated timeline into three primary value inflection points. 1, filing our investigational new drug application. 2, FDA approval. And 3, acquisition. To reach our first inflection point, we will conduct additional preclinical research at Columbia University. We will validate the effectiveness of the technology in the brains of rodents and in the brains of larger animals that are currently sick with cancer. After our preclinical research is complete, we will submit an IND to begin clinical trials. Our estimated cost to reach an IND filing is $250,000. To reach our second inflection point, we will conduct clinical trials. We will seek orphan drug designation from the FDA, which allows for 2 rather than 3 phases of clinical trials and for a period of 7-year marketing exclusivity following FDA approval. Our estimated cost for phase 1-2 clinical trials is $17 million, and our estimated cost for phase 2-3 clinical trials is $68 million. Grants are also available from the FDA to offset the cost of orphan drug development. Our estimated timeline to reach our third inflection point, acquisition, is based on the timeline of Guilford Pharmaceuticals' commercialization of Gliadel. We anticipate product sales from 2027 through 2034, with an acquisition in 2035. In today's dollars, the Gliadel segment of Guilford Pharmaceuticals was acquired for $161 million, plus the assumption of $117 million in outstanding obligations. We are currently seeking funding for the remainder of our preclinical research, which will allow us to reach inflection point 1, and for our first phase of clinical trials. At CellaSphere, our core team includes a JD, a master's in bioengineering, and an MBA candidate, all of whom have firsthand experience with technology transfer and commercialization through their prior work at UCLA's Technology Development Group. Our team also includes a PhD in medicinal and organic chemistry, who co-founded and currently works as a senior researcher at an Israeli startup company, micelle. Our advisors include Dr. Avital Weiss, the project manager at an emerging immuno-oncology imaging company, Columbia University's Dr. Cam Leong, the lead inventor of the CellaSphere technology and a key inventor behind the FDA-approved Gliadel, and 2 other leading figures in the field of neuro-oncology, Dr. Victor Levin, who founded Orbis Therapeutics and is widely known as the father of neuro-oncology, and Dr. David Jenkinson, Chief Scientific Officer of the Brain Tumor Charity. Please join us in the fight against glioblastoma at CellaSphere Therapeutics as we work to effectively target and eliminate the glioblastoma cells that surgery does not remove and prevent glioblastoma from recurring. Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Excellent job. Does anyone have some questions for Elliot?
Yeah, this is Brandon. Just quite curious as to where you're getting your estimates on clinical study costs. Are you working with a CRO or is this with the university? Where will this be done?
For the preclinical studies that we will be doing for the rest of this year, we're going to be doing them with Dr. Young's lab at Columbia and also potentially collaborate with other labs at Columbia. And then we'll look at different options for clinical trials, potentially a CRO once we get to the clinical.
Right,
Hey,
but you have
but was
estimated, so I was just curious as to how you arrived at those numbers. That's all. You have 17 million for 1, 2, and 60-some million for 2, 3.
For the clinical estimates, we found an article online that compiled data from orphan drug trials over the past several years. So that's where we got our estimates for those.
Okay, thank you.
any other questions? There's a question in the chat box that is, the cost to IND filing seems low. Has GMP manufacturing been verified?
So the cost to the IND filing, that's based on our initial estimates in collaborating with Columbia University. The numbers may change slightly. We actually have a call with them later this week to further discuss the research. But that was what our initial preclinical estimate was based on the inventor at Columbia.
Any other questions for Elliot? Okay, Elliot, could you share the screen that you have your contact details on?
Yes.
So if you want to get in touch with Elliot, this is his email address. Thank you very much, Elliot.